Hey guys, Reaganite 71 here. Back with you for a garden update. I know it's been a while. I've been derelict in my duties, but we're going to get it done today. I'm going to be honest with you up front. It has been hot and the garden is not looking as good as it could. As you can see from the pics here, got a lot of grass growing. It's the heat. We've had Tuesday night, we actually had 3.5 inches of rain. And between harvesting, it's been all I can do to just keep things harvested, to process everything, keep up with the composting and all of that. And we've been in the kitchen shooting videos. I've been editing those and helping Mrs. Reaganite with her videos. So it's been all I can do to do that stuff. And the garden, as you can see, has kind of fallen by the wayside. But we're gonna take care of that. I actually got out here yesterday and managed to clean up some of the beds. Here's what they look like now. So I got out here yesterday and cleaned out my squash and zucchini beds. I actually left a couple of our iceberg lettuces. I'm gonna let them, they've gone to bolt. I'm gonna let those go to seed and collect those. But I've got the beds pretty much cleaned out and weeded. One of the big problems that I had, part of it was the heat, of course, but I think the biggest part is I had a ton of squash bugs in here. I used some Safer Brands tomato and vegetable spray. It's got some pyrethrin in it, and sprayed the beds down yesterday. We'll get in here and take a look and see if there's any left crawling. If there are, I'm probably just going to take diatomaceous earth and just spread it out all over the beds. Let them crawl through that. It'll get in their joints and kill them that way. I also managed to get our strawberries weeded, so they're looking a lot better now. I got one that didn't make it, and another one is looking kind of rough over there. But all in all, they're doing pretty good. We went through and picked off the first set of blossoms, and we've got new ones coming back. Don't know if I should go ahead and pick those off and wait for next year, or let them go and see how they do. When you let your sunflowers go to seed, some of them will hit the ground, and guess what you'll get? Brand new sunflowers. These are more of those Russian mammoths. We had 2 of them planted here and here where the poles are, and as you can see, those seeds have just dropped, and we've got some new ones coming up in between our anemic green onions. If you guys remember the eggplant that I got Mrs. Reaganite over at Grow Fresh, they're doing really good. We've already harvested one, and we've got several others on here. She likes your eggplant, so they're doing really good. When it comes to our tomatoes, they're doing really good with the new shade cloth we put in. I'll put up a link to the shade cloth video I did a few weeks ago. But the leaves are looking so much healthier now. If you remember what they looked like in that video, take a look at them now with the shade cloth. We've got blossoms on, and they're putting on new fruit all the way up high there. We've actually gone through and harvested everything that was ripe or close to being ripe to conserve the energy of the plants and help them through the heat. I've got a large red cherry in there that's died off, but it's got a couple of red ones. But all in all, not too bad for the kind of heat we've been having. Cantaloupe TP, the heat's kind of zapped the cantaloupe. But if you've ever wondered why ground cherries are called what they are, here's your answer right here. Let me see if I can find one down here. They'll fall to the ground, and this is what you'll wind up with here. And they are so sweet, but you can't eat them until they're ripe, and this is the color when they're ripe. Usually we pick them up, let them sit for a week in a bowl inside where it's cool, and then they're good to go. And you could use these in jellies and all kinds of stuff. Let me show you what the inside of it looks like here. There's the inside there. Kind of, it's sweet, but it's got a sweet tarty flavor to it. It's very good though. My corn is done. We've harvested quite a few ears and froze them up. Barbecued some for the 4th of July too. That was really good. But the main reason I've left them on now is because of all the pole beans that we planted that are basically using the stalks to climb on. And as you can see, they're not just using the stalks, they're using the entire frame of the doggone greenhouse and our older sunflowers there. And speaking of beds to clean out, this is the second bed right next to the corn. And this is where we had that extra zucchini. And what I'm doing basically is just coming through and taking all of this dead stuff out. I'm going to clear the beds out, get it weeded, clean them out real good. If I've got any squash bugs, which I probably do here, I'm going to hit it real hard with a little bit of that pyrethrin and the tomato and vegetable stuff. Matter of fact, looky right here. What have I... Hey, look, come here, you. Man, I got a bunch of these. Pardon my language, folks. They're really ticking me off this year, though. But we'll go ahead and clean these bad boys out. I've got a special can I'm throwing this stuff in for trash. I'm not putting this stuff in with the compost because of the, you know, the tendency for them to have white powdery mildew and all of that. I'm just not even going to take a chance with putting it in my good compost. But we're going to get this stuff cleaned out, make her look good, and be ready for fall planting. Speaking of which, fall planting, you want to have it planned out, and you want to be planning for fall into July, first part of August, because we're talking about 4 to 5 weeks of heat. But right after that is when you want these plants to come into their own and be ready to produce for you for the early fall. Well, there we go. That looks a little bit better now. Now my Rutgers plants have still got tomatoes on there, so I haven't pulled them yet. About half of this tomato bed is going to get pulled once they get done. But shucks, I've still got tomatoes on. Even though the plant will start dying off, they'll continue to ripen, so we'll get some more tomatoes pretty soon here. I pulled about 12 bell peppers day before yesterday, but you can see they're coming right along there. Nice. The camera as it stands here is at about 5'8". Check out all of these sweet bananas. Ain't that pretty right there? Right next to the sweet banana peppers, I planted a couple of Tabasco pepper plants that they used to make Tabasco peppers down in Louisiana. Look at that, isn't that beautiful? All these little bitty peppers. Let me show you the colors that they turn, because it is awesome. Look at these beautiful colors here. I've got greens, yellows, oranges, reds. Just absolutely gorgeous colors here on this plant. It's like a doggone fiesta. The main reason that I'm growing these is Reaganite Jr, my youngest, he loves Tabasco sauce. He puts it on just about everything. And so I started growing this for him. And I told him we had some colored peppers on the other day. And I said, you want to take a bite of one out here? And he said, yeah, sure. And he walked up, bit on it. And the last I saw, he was running into the house. I believe they got a little bit of heat to them. Mrs. Reaganite has found a recipe online, though, to make the actual Tabasco sauce out of these. So we'll be doing that pretty soon. Here's our okra plants right here. They're up at arm level. They love the heat down south. Boy, I tell you, when that heat kicks in, so do the okra plants. Yes, they are doing quite nicely. And I tell you what, you got to pull these things every doggone day because they grow like crazy. This is our okra jungle right here. And you got to be really diligent about looking the entire plant over because they'll send out side shoots. See right there? There's a side shoot coming off of the main stem. And they'll put off brand new okra right there. But you got to take these things every doggone day. Or you wind up with monsters that you wind up having to pickle. They sure do have a pretty flower though. Isn't that nice? Those bumblebees just love them. Our cucumber plants are still healthy in and of themselves. They've gotten so much weight that they've actually started dragging down the trellis here. We're getting to a point now where it's summertime, it's hot, and so they tend to get bitter. Once the heat slacks off, they'll get better. I'm also having an issue. I don't know if this is leaf miners or if it's just ants taking off parts of the skin and carrying them off. If you're familiar with this, let me know what I can do about that. But what I'm doing is I'm leaving the cucumbers now. There we go. I'm going to let this one turn yellow, and then I'll take the seeds out of it. A few others like that as well. The ones that I've been wrapping around string are doing pretty good also, as you can see there. We got a helicopter coming in, I do believe. We don't get many of those around here. But one thing I think I'm going to do is I'm going to take some baby cucumbers while we're in this heat, because they still look good. They're nice and green, and I can pick those, and we could actually pickle some baby cucumbers that way. And here's our watermelon patch. Mrs. Reaganite did a really nice job planting flowers in there. Kind of keeps it shady and retains the moisture too. But it's been a nice success. We've got some really nice crimson sweet watermelons going there. We've got one on this end, and on the other end we've got a little one going right here. And then we got a big Bertha going right here. Looking good there. Before we leave, I want to show you how the tomato buckets are doing. These are all sucker plants, and they're growing pretty doggone good. We've got fruit on the vine. Got some good sized tomatoes there. That's probably getting close to 6 to 8 ounces, I'd say. And then we've got some more right here. Not all is sunlight and roses though. This one was just about ready yesterday, and it looks like something has gotten into it. See those holes there? Yeah, something is definitely into that. So that goes off to the compost pile. This was a sucker of a cherry, large red cherry tomato here. That's about it for the garden update. That's where we stand. I just got to clean stuff out and start getting ready. Next week probably I'm going to start planting for fall harvest. All of the fall type crops, cool weather stuff. We'll get that in the ground in some of these areas that I'm clearing out, and probably get that planted next week. And they'll be direct sowed, so I don't have to worry about hardening off or anything like that. They'll just pop up and already be acclimated to the weather when they get to growing. Appreciate you watching, appreciate you subscribing. Thank you so much. We really do appreciate your support. We have a lot of fun putting these videos together. I'm so glad I got Mrs. Reaganite involved now. And speaking of which, there's one more thing I've got to show you. She wanted me to make sure and do this, and I almost forgot about it. She planted some flowers in the front of our house. We've got a little bed right up against the house. You've got to see. She grabbed some compost that wasn't quite completed yet. I've got multiple piles of compost, and she grabbed out of the wrong pile. I want to show you what volunteered itself and popped right up. Take a look at this. So about a month and a half ago, Mrs. Reaganite decided to grab some compost and plant some flowers out in the front yard. We did some flowers in the ring here, and then over at the house here, she planted some more stuff. And looky here, what do we have here? I went ahead and popped a cage in. We've got 3 tomato plants from some of the compost she used to plant or sow seeds with. And yes, we do have blooms. I'm going to have to come out into the front yard and spank my tomatoes and spray them with apple juice. I swear my neighbors are going to have me committed. But it works, so. How about that? Tomatoes in the front yard. Something else. Always use completed compost. Guys, this is Reaganite 71. Thank you for joining us. We really appreciate it, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.